The countdown is on for President Trump to sign or veto a bipartisan housing package aimed at making housing more affordable for Americans. If he does neither, it'll become law without his signature by July 10th. The 21st Century Road to Housing Act was officially presented to the president yesterday, kicking off the 10-day countdown, and local lawmakers are pushing him to sign it. Supporters say the bill goes after what's driving prices up. It would crack down on large investors snapping up single-family homes, streamline permits to get new homes built faster, and boost funding for both affordable and manufactured housing. Lawmakers from states including New Mexico, Oregon, and Florida point to rents and home prices outpacing wages, vacancy rates near zero in some communities, and first-time buyers now waiting into their 40s to get into a house. They're calling this bill the biggest step for housing affordability in a generation.
Do what the American people need and make housing more affordable and sign the bill. We don't need to show the American people dysfunction here in Washington. I mean, we're literally going home for a second week, a day early, because our counterparts could not bring bills to the floor to show the American people that we're serious about fighting and about working to make their lives more affordable.
The White House has not said when or if the president plans to act on the bill.